Welcome back to Tita Laughs. So I know last time we talked about egg freezing and, deciding on whether or not we wanted to have children. And I guess this week we just wanted to talk about, Marie and I are both in the entertainment industry and, how do we, pursue those dreams that we have while also having a survival job, because I am not someone who can be a struggling artist. Like
good segue from last week, because it's another aspect of this dream as women. So you were saying struggling artist.
Exactly. Like I can't be like someone who's a struggling artist. Like I need to have that stability, which is odd because a lot of times when people see when I'm applying to jobs, if they Google my name, like some stuff will come up and they ask me about that because they question, how either dedicated I'll be to this job or if I'm a flake, like if I just have to like go to an audition or anything like that.
Wait, so back up, because this world is new to me. So you're schooling me right now on this.
Oh, interesting.
Because I've never had like that type of corporate life or, tech job stuff. So rewind to people Googling you and seeing that you're an artist. Has that come up in interviews?
Oh, absolutely.
Like they'll actually specifically ask how dedicated
this one woman
you?
was like, so I got laid off in December, so I'm looking for a job. So I am currently in the interview process. Recruiters are like the first time to
Stacie, because she's
first to go,
can
first
do
to
everything for you.
But yeah, this one woman asked me, and she's like, "So we're very big on transparency at our company." And, just by doing a quick Google search of you, I've seen that, you are a writer and an actor or whatever. She said, how dedicated are you going to be to our company? Because if we're really looking for someone long term, like 2 years is not long term to us. Like it sounded like they expected you to be like a lifer.
They want you to sign your life away.
Exactly. And I get that, but at the same time, companies have zero loyalty to you, especially if we've seen anything in the last few months. They don't give a shit how hard you've worked for them. They don't give a shit what you've contributed to their company. You are absolutely expendable to them. And so the fact that companies expect this kind of loyalty from you when they don't, return that, especially with Google, like all these people that were just like let go after being there for like 15 to 20 years with an email, not so much as like a human interaction. And so for companies to expect that is so ridiculous when they have absolutely zero loyalty to you. That is a tangent for another time. But yeah, so I'm just not someone who can, be that struggling artist. I need that stability. And so going back to your point, yes, it is something that they will bring up because they will Google you. They will go into your social media if they have access to it to see.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Because I've never had to deal with that because I am of the other camp. Where I have been I technically am still a struggling artist because I'm a teacher. But I've lived that stereotypical lifestyle of giving up my 9 to 5, becoming a server, starting from the bottom because I had no restaurant experience whatsoever. This is my early days in LA, and this is before tech companies were big and all that stuff, because I went full in being an artist very early. So luckily the first restaurant I applied to, Baby Blues, I love you. I still love them.
Thank you for catering, Halo Bay.
Exactly. So I was just very lucky that I was hired. I knew to not overshoot myself. So started from the bottom of hostessing at the end of my tenure there. I was already, besides serving serving, bartending, etc., like it came to the point of like, oh yeah, can you manage, like just assistant manage on these days that we're gone? So I got a really good look at that lifestyle as an artist, because it was just so, that was almost stable enough for me, because I did have a stable income to build that family there, where I was making bank. A lot of bank. Like I was able to.
Then you're not struggling, girl.
I wasn't struggling, but still the sense of like
it's that quintessential like idea of like what actors
that,
get.
but also, but during that time, if I had stayed in my previous route, like and this is again going back to today and the sacrifices and all that. I haven't built my equity. I haven't built any of that. Like. I can't afford a house. I don't have any of that being an artist. So even though I wasn't struggling per se, I don't have enough money to build my life with that type of foundation. So while, artistic lifestyle, struggling artist, I was getting by. I'm one of the fortunate ones who actually stuck along this way. It was rough.
I would like to start out with when you first came to LA, what were your dreams and how have they changed since then?
Oh gosh, this is circa 2000. No, the dream started even in college. Yeah, 2000, because even high school. That's why I went to UC San Diego. Hoping that, I remember reading my journal entry when I was like an 18-year-old, the summer before I started college. I was like, I have this feeling I'm supposed to be in Southern California, and when I'm in San Diego, I'll be close to LA. I just feel like I'm supposed to be there. I read that journal entry as an 18-year-old, like looking back. And so I think that's always been on my mind to pursue some sort of performance or something. So that's why I started taking acting classes and fell in love with acting during college. So I knew that I wanted to move here right after. So that was 2007.
Wow.
Yeah. But I came here like being responsible. Like I had my 9-to-5 working in pharmaceutical clinical research, stayed with that for a year. And then when I like learned my way around Los Angeles, met people.
Did you know anyone when you first came?
Luckily, I had a friend from high school.
Oh, good.
Who went to USC. So I got to know him and his friends too. And then I moved here with a friend from college who's from Los Angeles too.
Oh, nice.
So luckily, I had roommates already. And then my sister and her husband lived in South Bay. So not too far. But other than that, it was still like new world.
Yeah. Scary. How scary was it?
I wasn't that scared though.
Wow,
I was
you're
just
amazing.
young. I was young and bright-eyed and had a goal. And when you're that young, you're just, I think because I already had a job set up,
Sure.
that was helpful.
Yeah, of
and I
course.
was working with other people, other girls that were around my age. So I had a pretty packed calendar. And I had some friends who like were originally from LA. So when they would come home, I would see them too. So we're all single, going out and having fun. But I mean, yeah, I've been here for a long time.
How do you feel about that?
It's funny because I was talking about this last night with like friends when you're having dinner, and they call me the mayor of LA. Because like, are you the mayor of LA? Because why do everywhere we go, you run into somebody that knows you? And last night during dinner, I ran to like an old coworker from Baby Blues. And yeah, I think it's because different parts of my life, I've been in different parts of LA. And so the city and the industry starts to just get smaller and smaller and smaller. So that's why I keep moving to different parts of LA.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, a new area I've never really explored. But yeah, the dream has shifted for me. Like I
What was
still
it?
have, the dream was to acting for a long time. And it wasn't even this huge, I want to be a star and be famous. No, it was just, I want to make a living and be a working actor.
Exactly.
It wasn't this far like thing of like reaching. It's just I want to just be a working actor
and support yourself with
and
that.
support with that. And so, I mean, I love that I was able to find a acting studio where I felt like I gained so many tools and learned about the business and crafted my art and just learned how to even appreciate my artistry and learn what it means to me. I think that's the biggest value I've had at a private studio, not a university. So even learning in that environment and like creating theater in a small black box theater and going to bars and with other actors and artists and other broke actors. And, it was just a lifestyle. And so going back to sacrifice and looking back on it, marriage and kids was not on my mind because that was my goal. Yeah. It was like, I want to be a working actor. If it happens with a family, but that's not at the forefront right now.
Yeah.
How about for you? When did you decide that you wanted to pursue your art? Because you didn't start off with right? You didn't start off like, I'm moving to LA.
No, girl, that's why I'm so amazed by people like you who just come here by themselves with a dream. Because I'm such a pussy when it comes to that. Like, I don't know if we'd ever move to LA if Tyson wasn't like, okay, we can't stay in these freaking jobs forever. We need to make a transition. We knew no one coming down here, but we had each other, which was very helpful.
Goodness.
Yeah. So, but if he hadn't pushed, but I started out with writing, just writing scripts, and it's so hard to get people to read your scripts. And so Tyson was like, well, why don't you try acting? Just kind of throw everything out there to see what sticks. Yeah, it's just so hard because I think we've talked about this before, like you never really have a day off because you have to have your 9 to 5 or whatever that looks like for you. And then when you are not working that job, you are working on all the stuff that, you're passionate about, that you're creating, whether that's writing or getting together in meetings with people to work on projects. And so you're never really off because you're trying to survive while also pursuing, what you really want to do and that dream that you have, which I have big dreams, like you, like I don't need that like huge stardom or whatever. It's really just being able to create and be passionate about the projects that I am creating while also supporting yourself with that, with like living comfortably.
Yes. Not even like, we're not even reaching for the stars of like having like a mansion or like, we just want to live comfortably.
While being able to create and tell the stories that we want. So that's the dream. But I would love to have like a production company where like I could employ like my family members and, produce other people's stories that I feel are so important that maybe other people may not shine a light on. That's a big dream of mine as well. So my dreams actually have not changed.
Oh, wow.
No.
That's great that it's pretty steady and you're just like, I'm on this mission and I know what I want.
Yeah, it's not going very well, but...
but the good thing is because you were very smart early on of what that is. And I think a lot of that has to do because you've established such a great foundation from the get-go of having a partner who's also an artist. That's huge.
Yeah.
I always look at that when I see couples who understand that.
Yeah.
Because
but I know that there are also actor or like other people in the entertainment industry whose partners are not in the entertainment industry and they're able to support that dream. That's very nice as well.
Nice. It is.
But while also supporting them, so it's not just, so that's a gift in itself. But it also is, a gift to have someone who knows what you're going through. But when you're both struggling and trying to pursue something, it's very difficult, especially like, and you have more experience with this because I haven't auditioned as much as you have. But like, what kind of roles are you offered like as
it's been a while
a Filipino?
When I was auditioning in the few, because I'll go through spurts of like, I'm getting auditions like a lot when it rains it pours, and then nothing, crickets. But I think I didn't even start getting co-star auditions until 2015.
And what's a co-star audition?
So co-star audition, for those who aren't in the industry, it is let me break it down into like easy terms for the like shows you're watching. It's those characters that like maybe have like one or two speaking lines. Sometimes you'll see it on Criminal Minds where they're just like
a reporter,
a nurse who just no names. It's just
nurse,
nurse, mailman, like office clerk, teacher. You know, who are just functionary characters who carry the story along. So very brief, small lines.
Yeah.
Again, does not require acting at all. And we're fighting tooth and nail to get these roles.
Yeah. Thousands of people applying.
I didn't get I remember getting my first audition in 2015 because I think I didn't get my first agent until 2009. That's 6 years of agents and managers. And I went through the cycle of going through different agencies. And I got that one myself because I attended a workshop and that casting director for that show loved me. And casting directors don't usually do that for people. This one was lovely. And she busted out with her phone. She's like, I want to even like text you over to this bigger office and show who you are and blah, blah, blah. And the next day, she kept her headshot and my headshot and put it in her bag. She's not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do that anymore. But this is like years ago before like when workshops were rampant. And my agent called me the next day and says, yeah, I think you're looks good. I think you're going to get like a call for an audition. And sure enough, I did. I was able to audition for a co-star that next day. And I met that same casting director the next week because it was like a double week workshop. And she's like, yeah, you went to producers. So we're just waiting.
Wow.
Which is great.
For your first audition.
Yeah. She's like, meaning producers is like they usually narrow it down because from the thousands and thousands of submissions, they break it down to like, you know, maybe 12 or 8. And then from that 12 or 8, the casting directors send their picks to the producers and the producers pick. That usually is just, they look at race or like looking at the color scheme of that scene, or do we already have somebody like that? That's out of your control already. Like you really can't do anything about that. So just to even hear that of like, oh, wow, like it's possible, you know? So even that, to get to that point was just, it took years. And because diversity it was slowly getting there. Now it's even better. You know, still that was like
a lot of improvement.
That was a young mom role. I still get that a lot. Young mom, nurse is probably the most number one thing that I will go in for. Filipina nurse or just nurse, teacher. Some commercials are like, you know, athletic ones. I think the most far-fetched ones was for like Euphoria, and it was like a recurring druggie's girlfriend, or
really.
And I saw who they cast, and I was like, oh yeah.
Oh, who was it?
It was like some blonde. She looked like a real druggie. Like it was like, ooh.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't even know if the character had a name, but it was in recurring roles in season 2. But yeah, it's such a range for types of roles with my ethnicity and my type. But talking about dreams, I love that yours was just, your eye is on the prize.
Has yours changed?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Like, I think with age, and I wouldn't say like, not that I've gotten jaded. I think it's been more priorities because I know I would definitely want a family and get married. I think because I'm not married right now, that has shifted. Because while I will always love acting, and that is something I am very passionate about. It brings me so much joy. It's not something that I'm like, I have to have it in my life. Like, I'm very blessed where, like, for instance, like friends who are filmmakers, like, oh, can you do this role? Like Christine asking, like, yes, of course, please. I love it. And I want to help you with your project. And I'm honored that you're asking me. So, and I still have my manager who I love. I've been with them for years, being completely understanding of my situation. I always want that as an option, but it's not at the forefront of my mind anymore. And I find that even more healthy.
But I feel like it's still always in your life because even, you know, you've transitioned to teaching, but you are teaching...
Acting.
Yeah, exactly.
And theater. So that's why I think even when I was still in it, fully in with acting and not thinking about teaching, I was very intrigued by the pedagogy of like, oh, I was watching my teacher teach and getting interested in like, like I get why he's saying that to this specific actor or the tools. And I started sitting in teacher training, teacher training workshops, and would take notes for him for free. And so we would have discussions over lunch sometimes too, and he would talk about my career. He's always checking in with me. He's like such a great mentor. Love you, Stuart. Of like, where are you at with your career, Marie? And blah, 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 blah. And then I finally decided, it was just like, it was during the pandemic.
A lot of things changed for people during the pandemic.
Of like, you know what? I have all this time. Let's go back to grad school, and got my theater degree because I think I knew, I was like, there's something there. Maybe I want to teach college and let's start there, like with getting an MA, and I can do that online, and let's figure out, I don't know even if that's possible because I didn't know what all the requirements were, but let me just revisit this idea of studying something that I know and love and learn about it more and see what my opportunities are. Even though during that pandemic, I was auditioning a lot. I've never auditioned
I remember
more
you telling
than the pandemic. It's crazy. Like self-tapes, I think, just went rampant. But while that was happening, I was in the middle of grad school. And it's funny how that works, where you're like not even thinking about it. And then,
isn't that what they say? Like, oh, if you want an audition, leave town.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. I know so many people who got their first gigs when they leave town. But yeah, that's what happened with me. Of like, I love teaching. I think I love teaching more than acting.
Wow.
Because I could see it. And I remember hearing my mentors say that of like, there's something different. There's a joy in watching somebody get it and see them progress.
And you were a part of that.
And you're part of that. Not that you are all of it, you know?
No,
but
of course.
You got to see somebody grow and you got to help them. And it's so beautiful to watch because he has this growth mindset and always instilled that because I agree. Like, I want to always continually learn. So as a teacher, I know I will continually learn from my students. And because I study pedagogy, I want to always continue the craft of learning, you know, and best practices and how can we be the best effective at our craft. So that's what tickles my pickle now of like this place of entertainment and industry. And yay, if something happens with acting, maybe I'll be like 70 one day and get a great role and we'll be working, you know? And
the lady in the Titanic.
So that's where it shifted.
Got it. I love that. How do you think, because I always wonder, like, if, like, my parents, like, had dreams, you know, before they had children. And I'm always, like, kind of afraid to ask them in case, like, we ruin those for them. Because I know, like my husband's mother was an artist, a beautiful artist. She went to I think the Academy of Art in San Francisco, I think. And she knew from, like, a young age, like, this is what I'm doing. Like, her parents didn't support her going to college because she was a woman. She didn't care about that. And she went, and she was amazing. And, you know, she created art throughout her entire life. I think Tyson, she painted a lot, but Tyson really loved her sculpture work, I believe. I'm not an artist, so I don't know all the terms. But she got pregnant with my husband's brother when she was younger, like I think early 20s. And that did not change. Like having her son, like she's a mother who like her boys are her life and she had no regrets about it. Whereas like I'm like, you guys killed her dreams. But she didn't see it that way. Like they were her dream. Like she told them that all the time. She loved them so much. And I remember her telling me that like when she got pregnant and she went to the doctor and the doctor's like, what are you going to do? Because she was unmarried, younger. And she was like, I'm going to have a baby. Like she was just so ecstatic. And so there's that aspect of it, you know, where she had big dreams. Like I relate to her so much in that way because she was very much a dreamer. She was very much an artist, so creative, so artistic, but had kids young. And I wonder like how that affected her. And I know she didn't regret having her kids at all because she loved them more than anything.
So question, did she in any way, shape, or form continue her art?
Oh, yeah. She definitely continued, but I just wonder how it would have been different, you know? Okay. Like, because she was painting, like, she painted stuff of, like, Miley, our little dog, when, like, she was always painting, always teaching, like, her grandkids or other kids in the family, you know, how to paint and stuff. But it was never, like, she never supported herself on that, ever. I don't even know if she ever made money from it.
Do you think she wanted, was that her original goal?
I don't know. I actually don't really know what her goal was, which is kind of sad. Like, that's another aspect, is like how much we don't know about our parents before they leave, which is so... But there's questions I'm also afraid to ask. Like, do you have dreams? Like, I don't want to know, like... I don't know. That's just kind of sad to me. And I think I've asked my dad that question, and my dad's not the person to ask. He's like, well, I don't know.
It might be different because, like, our parents are Filipino, and they might have a different mindset. Because I know my parents, they followed their American dream. And that's what they're doing.
I love that.
Like, yeah.
I mean, you don't think of it
and
that
because
way.
they were super young, too. They were in their early 20s. But my dad was like, I'm going to America. I'm going to take this opportunity, apply for the Navy. And he made the cut when the odds were stacked against him.
Wow.
And he did it. And, like, my mom wanted to be a nurse, and she did it, you know, and they made it to America. I think that was already such a huge
that makes me
dream
so emotional.
For them.
Yeah, because, you know, everyone has, you know, a different dream, and just realizing that, like, they accomplished that.
They were so young, too.
I know, we were scared to, like, move to LA, but, like, our parents came from different freaking countries.
But they were young, too, because when you're that young, again, like when I was young,
you're idealistic and you're not afraid.
You're not really thinking. And they had kids young. They didn't really see it all the way through. So if they were older like us, like our dreams formulated at an older age, or they continued to evolve. And sure, when they got older, their dreams did evolve. They were forced to evolve their dreams while they had kids.
Yeah.
So not that I'm putting blame on them, but while they were evolving and building their businesses because they wanted, again, to continue that American dream, and figured out like, oh, we want to start our own business, accumulate wealth. I look back, it's just like, yeah, there's that sacrifice again of how much attention do you put on your children?
Yeah.
It's always going back to that, what you're concerned about.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't want to define a generation, but at least for my family, like, yeah, that definitely suffered. I love my parents to this day, and we have a great relationship now. But looking back on it, like, oh yeah, they were not as present as they were early on, because when they were around our age, building that kingdom, like, the relationship with the children and making sure the children were, like, taken care of and growing and, you know, going to sports and going to, like, classes, and, you know, the focus was taken away.
Yeah, I know. Because I remember, and I think that's another thing I have with, like, having kids is like I saw how hard it was for my parents, and they say they weren't, but I tell them all the time. I was like, you guys look miserable.
Oh no,
like raising not because they had kids, but it's because they went to jobs that they didn't love.
Oh no,
you know, and
really?
that is my fear. Like my dad worked at the post office. He said he liked it much more when he was like a manager, not when he was a carrier. But, and then my mom, I don't even know what her titles were, but she worked at like HP and like in those types of companies. But I know that they like weren't happy in what they were doing. And I think that, you know, affected like how they raised us. And they were wonderful parents, so supportive. Like I could work 24 hours a day for the rest of my life and not work as hard as they have. But I want them to be happy, you know? And I think that's the guilt I feel is like, you know, how did we, being badass kids who like at that time didn't think about what they were struggling with, like personally, like I don't even know what they struggled with personally when I was younger. And how, but then also having to raise us and make sure we survived on top of like whatever dreams they may have had or whatever personal struggles that they were going with that, you know, they either didn't share with us. And I know they struggled financially. Like, oh my God, so much. Like that was one.
Living in the Bay Area, I mean, come on.
Yeah. And, you know, they sent us to Catholic school. They couldn't afford it, but they also didn't make less enough. I don't know how to say this. They made too much basically to qualify for financial aid.
Yeah.
So so much debt just to put us through, to let us have a good education, because the public schools in, you know, San Jose, where I'm from, were not great. So they just how much they sacrificed, I think, is like the guilt that I feel like because they had us basically.
And we see how that tracks to where you are today. There is a through line there. Oh, gosh.
Yeah. And so, I don't know, just, it's hard to think about, like, raising a child when I haven't accomplished what I want.
Wow.
And having to stay in these jobs that I am not passionate about. It's just a lot. And then, but we're getting older too, so it's not like we have a lot of time.
There's so many things pulling at us and so many different considerations. I think I'm finally like fed up with like, you know what? I just want to have kids and it's going to work out.
Yeah. I will make it work.
That's how.
And you have an amazing family. I mean, we both do that. If we did have children, like everything would be fine.
I don't know how everything would work out.
Yeah, but they would. Right?
Yeah.
Question mark?
It's going to work out. It has this far, thus far,
right.
So why not? I think that like, I wouldn't call it reckless optimism, but I think because we're both responsible people, you know, and we're not going to do something like completely off the charts that just wouldn't make sense, you know? So I think that's why I'm just like, I was pushed to that point. Yeah. I think maybe that's why, because I was like you before, you know, but because I'm pushed to that point now with like being single and thinking one way before when I had a relationship, and now that I'm not in that and my expectations have like fallen through, I'm just like, you know what? Loose cannon now.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I get it. But yes, it absolutely would work out. But my fear is like, how much would I lose of myself, or how happy or satisfied, or because Tyson's always like, we will survive or whatever. I'm like, but I want to thrive. I want to thrive. Like, when is this point where like, it's just going to be like, not something happening after the other where everything feels good and then, oh, I lose my job, or, you know, it feels like nothing can just be steady. And I guess that's life, but
it is life.
I feel like for some people it's like,
but everyone's going to have something that they're always, I think that's the tricky thing, because it's always going to be something.
Yeah. How do you find that
balance?
How do you
find that? That's a question. How do you find that balance?
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
When will we ever find that out?